Billy, moving on to the next list here in our just long series of looking at these Pro Football Focus rankings lists. It is the top 32 best tight ends going into the upcoming 2021 season. Are you ready?
I'm super ready.
Now, much like running backs and the wide receivers, you can have multiple players on this list. This is just point blank. Hey, the top 32 tight ends going into the upcoming season. You already saw number 32. I'm not even going to try and hide it. It's Cameron Brate of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Billy, coming in at number 32, I am going to go ahead and read the paragraph here. Brate is the third Buccaneers tight end to crack this list. Well, okay, spoilers, it's fine, I guess, which is one of many reasons why the team is a Super Bowl favorite yet again heading into 2021. Brate became an important piece of the Tampa Bay's passing attack late last season and through their playoff run, outgaining Gronkowski from Week 14 through the Super Bowl. That's an interesting thing to note, by the way. His 76.7 receiving grade in 2020 was the second highest of his career, behind only 2016. He gives the Buccaneers three tight ends capable of being starting options to go along with one of the deepest wide receiver groups in the NFL. In the previous video, we had Mike Evans at number 12, Chris Godwin at number 13, and Antonio Brown at number 24 for the 32 best wide receivers going into this upcoming NFL season. And by the way, you could have multiple tight ends on this list, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You could have no tight ends on this list, and the Buccaneers, they have three. So, Billy, Cameron Brate at 32, what do you think?
I'll take it. I'm not. I don't think Cameron Brate is probably that low. But considering his situation and everything like that, I think that's fair. Cameron Brate does definitely deserve to be on the list. 32 is the low end, I say, of what he deserves, but good for Cameron Brate to get the recognition. Love Cameron Brate. One of the people I thought for sure coming in right out the jump. I was like, Tom Brady's going to have a great rapport with Chris Godwin and Cameron Brate. That was like the two people I thought for sure Tom Brady would click with. I was surprised that Cameron Brate didn't get more looks really last year. I thought that he would be like a star in the red zone for the Bucs. But Cameron Brate, we've definitely seen it throughout his career, what he can do. Great receiving tight end.
Absolutely, I agree. Obviously Cameron Brate's one of those guys where if he was a starting tight end, like the number one tight end on a football team, he'd probably be higher up on this list. He might be in the top half,
Yeah.
It's just that he's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers where they have a lot of talented guys. So, hey, like you said, hey, congrats to Cameron Brate for getting on here with this team. There's obviously that means that there's probably a handful of teams that don't have a tight end on this list. So for Brate to get in here at 32, yeah, looks good. I will say, though, and this is interesting, they pointed to, oh, man, look at what Cameron Brate did with, in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl and at the end of the season. Why didn't they do that for Leonard Fournette?
Wow, that's a great point.
In the running back rankings, why didn't they do that for Leonard Fournette? Was it simply because of the fact that there's just more depth, I suppose, at running back positions in the NFL opposed to tight end groups? Or is it just because, they can't give a good reason? I don't know.
Way to get after their inconsistency. I love that.
Yeah, so.
Because Cameron Brate's similar to Leonard Fournette, right? I don't want to get off on a tangent, but this is a great point. Similar to Leonard Fournette, who had pretty pedestrian stats in the regular season, but then obviously exploded late in the year into the playoffs. Cameron Brate, his stats for the 2020 regular season are not anything that jumps off the page. He had 28 catches for 280 yards, literally 10 yards a catch, like on the nose, and 2 touchdowns. That is not like jumping off the page as something you want on your team. But they talk about the postseason. Leonard Fournette does not get that same justification.
I agree. Blake Jarwin of the Dallas Cowboys at number 31. At number 30, you have Adam Trotman of the New Orleans Saints. He is, wasn't he just drafted? No, he was not just drafted. He was a draft pick last year. So we'll see how he does now with the departure of Jared Cook. At number 29, Jordan Atkins of the Houston Texans. Number 28, Anthony Fursker of the Tennessee Titans, who actually did a pretty good job whenever Jonnu Smith was hurt. I had him on my fantasy team. Number 27, you have Hayden Hurst of the Atlanta Falcons. Number 26, Irv Smith Jr. of the Minnesota Vikings. Number 25, Eric Ebron of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just a quick note there, I feel like Eric Ebron should be higher.
Higher as in a lower number, right?
Yeah, he should be higher up on the list.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Eric Ebron, I would consider him always kind of a little bit underrated. Sneaky. He was really good with the Colts, too.
Yeah, so I would have had him a little bit higher. 24, Jack Doyle, the Indianapolis Colts. I'll be honest, I forgot Jack Doyle was still in the league. Like, I feel like I remember him from a couple of seasons ago. Like, he was like, oh yeah, Jack Doyle, he's good. But man has had some injury problems in the past, and like, I just forgot.
Aren't the Colts also going to have Mo Alley Cox on here too?
They have Mo Alley Cox and Trey Burton. I don't know if they are on this list as well. We'll see. But number 23, you have O.J. Howard of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all the way up here at 23. Let's read this paragraph, Billy, and then I'll get your thoughts. Howard was one of the more difficult players to pin down on this entire list. He has flashed dominance at times, but those stretches have been short-lived. Howard earned an 88.9 Pro Football Focus grade in 2018 before being placed on the injured reserve with foot and ankle injuries suffered in Week 11. He was off to another quick start last season, an 80.1 overall grade, before an Achilles injury ended his season in Week 4. The injuries and inconsistent play have led to Howard being more of a what-if at this point than someone who can be relied on moving forward. Billy, O.J. Howard at number 23, your thoughts?
I kind of agree with a lot of the paragraph sentiments, especially the early points. I would say injuries hold him back. Obviously flashes potential. Definitely some head-scratching moments, though, in O.J. Howard's career that we've all seen. Okay, he's definitely had some, like, what are you doing type plays. Bums me out that he got the Achilles, obviously, because he was off to a hot start. First man to catch a touchdown pass from Tom Brady in a Bucs uniform. And, Achilles are weird. They're tough to come back from, especially if you're a big dude who's a speedy, big guy. That's tough. That is tough. I would say the interesting thing about O.J. Howard is he's played now with multiple quarterbacks. And I think the best O.J. Howard has ever looked is with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I don't know why that is, but when Ryan Fitzpatrick was our quarterback, O.J. Howard was kind of dominating. He was, like, really good with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick would just throw balls over the middle, and O.J. Howard was mossing people consistently. Like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know why that would be, but he looked like he was off to a hot start with Tom. Unfortunately, we know what happened. So hopefully this year he'll kind of pick up where he left off.
I feel like OJ could. I mean, it really breaks my heart because I do love OJ Howard. Like, I really do think he can be a productive guy. He just can't stay healthy. And I think that he could have a resurgence with Tom, much like what we saw with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Obviously, Tom Brady's a better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I feel like that he really could flourish and he really could shine. We could start to see some of that old OJ Howard that we saw in 2018 before he got hurt,
Yeah, I would just say, hopefully. I really hope so, man. Because O.J. Howard, definitely a high talent, high caliber, like, potential across the board. And I would think that being around Gronk would help him even unlock some of that, because Gronk is also, like, Cameron Brate, you could learn from Cameron Brate for sure. But Gronk is more built in the stature that O.J. Howard is built in. So you could learn more from a guy who is similar to you, than I think kind of Cameron Brate just operates differently from the tight end position.
I agree. So, moving on now to number 20, we have Mo Alley Cox of the Indianapolis Colts. You mentioned him earlier, Billy. Number 21, we have Gerald Everett of the Seattle Seahawks at number 21. Good job for him, formerly of the Los Angeles Rams. Kyle Rudolph of the New York Giants in at number 20. Evan Ingram of the New York Giants in at number 19. That's pretty interesting. They have two tight ends there. Evan Ingram, he's a pretty good tight end. He has good potential. Number 18, you have Tyler Higbee of the Los Angeles Rams. Number 17, Austin Hooper of the Cleveland Browns. Jared Cook of the Chargers at number 16. He, I think, is going to be a pretty good replacement for Hunter Henry and a good weapon for Justin Herbert. Billy, what do you think?
I love Jared Cook. Jared Cook gave me one of my favorite moments as a football fan. Antoine Winfield Jr. punching that ball out of his hands. God bless Jared Cook. And then he went over and cried. That was amazing. Love Jared Cook. He deserves it. Good job, Jared. Well done.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Number 15, we have Robert Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers. I think you should be higher up, on my opinion. He was pretty darn good. Number 14, Logan Thomas of the Washington Football Team. Former Bruce Arians quarterback, by the way.
Congratulations to Logan Thomas, because that's an impressive career trajectory to take, you know?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal transition. I mean, something Tim Tebow's looking to do. By the way, no Tim Tebow on this list? Come on.
I'm shocked.
Number 13, Zach Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 12, Jonnu Smith of the Patriots. He's going to be... I mean, I love Jonnu Smith. He's really good. Number 11, Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos. Number 10, Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. And then number 9, we have Rob Gronkowski of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's go ahead and read this paragraph here. The days of prime Gronk look to be over, but the 32-year-old showed last season that he can still pose a threat to defenses, even if some of the athleticism has waned with age and injury. Gronkowski's 78.4 receiving grade in 2020 was actually higher than his mark with the Patriots in 2018. He and Tom Brady were able to connect for 17 plays of 15 yards or more during the regular season, fourth at the position behind only Kelsey, Waller, and Mike Gesicki. He figures to be the top man at tight end in Tampa Bay again next season, despite the return of O.J. Howard from injury. Billy, Gronkowski at number 9, what do you think here?
Love it. Love me some Gronk, but I will say I disagree with the very last portion of that paragraph. I think if O.J. Howard comes back, he's fully healthy, and he looks the way he was, looking prior to the injury, I think he could definitely land Gronk on the bench more often than people think. I was surprised. I kind of anticipated when we first signed Rob Gronkowski that he would be more of a situational player than a full-time starter. Of course, he was a full-time starter. Now, that surprised me, but I do think a lot of that had to do with the injury, because if you remember, early in the season, O.J. Howard and Gronk were heavily splitting time. And I think now with Tom Brady having a little bit more comfortability with all the other pieces, whereas Gronk was kind of his guy early on really all of last season. But I think that I feel like Gronk is going to be, especially as he continues to get older, I think that the best way to use him is when you need him and not just because he's there, just use him all the time. Like, Rob Gronkowski is a matchup problem in certain situations, and that's when he should be involved. In the run game, he showed last year that he is tremendous. Like, holy cow, is it amazing to have a tight end who can just move people? Like, that's a luxury, that goes unnoticed, really. People don't really pay a lot of attention to it, but Gronk showed you, even as a pass protector, really, there really aren't many tight ends who actually pass block. Even tight ends who run block is pretty, one-dimensional. We'll get to that when we talk about who's in the top 5 on this list that doesn't belong in the top 5 because they've never played before, but that's a little teaser. But even run blocking is going away in terms of tight end. So to have a tight end who can run block like a champ and pass block like a tackle, I mean, Gronk's pretty ridiculous. And it's always fun to watch him just go up and rip a jump ball away from somebody.
So I just want to say, Gronkowski, weeks 1 through 4, in terms of snap percentages for offense, 77% in week 1, 69% in week 2, 93% in week 3, 86% in week 4. If we go into O.J. Howard real quick and see what he was doing in terms of game logs and snaps.
What happened to the Panthers was week 2.
Okay, offensive percentage snaps for O.J. Howard, 53% in week 1, 56% in week 2, 49% in week 3, and then 37% in week 4. That's because that's where the injury occurred, right? And then after that, he was placed on the injury reserve for the remainder of the season. But it seems like Gronkowski was just getting more snaps regardless.
I'm telling you, it surprised me how much he played last year. I just think that going forward, he'd be more of a player that they're going to manage rather than rely on, if that makes sense. I
gotcha. So number 8, we have Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins. We just mentioned him a moment ago. Number 7, TJ Hawkinson of the Detroit Lions. Number 6, Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. Number 5, Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 4, Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. Number 3, Darren Waller of the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 2, George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. Number 1, Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. Billy, your thoughts on Pitts at number 4, Dallas Goedert at number 5. I would honestly move some of these guys around. I mean, Mark Andrews should probably be up a little bit higher. Dallas Goedert should be lower. TJ Hawkinson, Mike Gesicki. I mean, you could make an argument that Gronkowski should at least be number 7, maybe number 6, right?
I mean, I'm taking Gronko for Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so talk about Kyle Pitts real quick, because I remember whenever we first were talking about this list before we recorded this video, you just died at the Kyle Pitts part.
Ridiculous. He's never played a snap, and on top of that, he's at risk. I don't want to say he's at risk is the wrong word. He's never taken a snap, and he's also like a non-fundamentally built player at the position. So he's kind of like a new age version. Like he's going to be almost breaking the mold in a sense. And if he can do it, more power to him. But to just assume that he's going to come in and dominate and be the fourth most productive tight end in the league, that's a huge reach. I mean, that is just like, to me, that's a colossal jump. The top of the list, I'm not mad at it. Kittle at 2, Kelsey at 1, even Darren Waller at 3 because
he's really good.
Yeah, Darren Waller, although talking about one-dimensional, he's basically a wide receiver 2, but he did. It's funny. I was about to hype up too. I was about to hype up the boy because I was going to say if Travis Kelce's number 1, what does that make Levante? Because obviously remember the Super Bowl, but. Right. Darren Waller did beat Levante David one-on-one when we played the Raiders. So all the credit to Darren Waller there. He deserves that spot. But to say that Kyle Pitts is the 4th best tight end, I mean, just that is I'm not saying he shouldn't be on the list, but to just jumpstart him to top 5 without any proof to me that's a bold move.
Mm-hmm. Now I do want to say this was made May 19th. This was before they traded Julio Jones. So I do want to say that they said this may be early for a player who has yet taken an NFL snap, but it's a reflection of the caliber of prospect Pitts is coming out of Florida. He's just different. And then it talked about pairing him up with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. That's no longer a thing. So maybe if they were to redo this list today, maybe he'd be lower on this list.
Yeah, I mean 4th. I get it. He's a great prospect. I understand that. 4 is really high.
Mm-hmm.
That is really high.
So guys, what do you think about this list? I would probably have Gronk a little bit higher up, maybe in the top 7, something along those lines. Number 9 is still not a terrible spot, especially, considering Gronk's 32, he's slowed down a little bit. So having him at number 9 still isn't bad. I mean, he's still above, really good young guys like Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Noah Fant. But I might have had Robert Tonyan, I think, got robbed here at number 15. He should be probably top 10. So, it was interesting. But the Buccaneers do have 3 guys on here. Gronk at number 9, O.J. Howard down here at number 23, and then Cameron Brate at number 32. Much like the case for the wide receiver room, hey, you gotta be, blessed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to complain.
It's hard to complain at the end of the day, although there are just maybe some minor tweaks we'd make to this list. What do you guys think? Cameron Brate at number 32, O.J. Howard at number 23, and Rob Gronkowski at number 9 for the NFL's top 32 tight ends going into this upcoming season. That's pretty darn good in my opinion to have 3 guys on there. For those of you guys who are watching, thank you so much for coming on to the channel here. Go subscribe to Billy's channel, Owen the C. I will have it linked in the pinned comment down in the comment section below. Go subscribe to him. We're trying to get this man to 1,000 subscribers. Let's freaking do it. Let's go. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know what you thought about this list down in the comment section below. And until the next video or the next live stream, we'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.